Okay, in this video, we are going to discuss proving the product's true worth. In any strategy to sell a product, you want to get rid of any fears the buyer may have over purchasing your products or services. People have a big fear of being taken advantage of or buying something that later makes them feel like a fool for being duped into the purchase. There are other people who are always looking for a good deal and demand that they get a high return on their financial investment no matter what they're buying. Since you're dealing with consumers who are probably internet savvy, you know that they will be able to compare your products or services easily simply by browsing other companies online or doing a quick search through Google. So you will have to beat them to that and provide whatever comparisons they need to prove your product's true worth. It's far better for you to do it and limit and frame the results of your research to make your product appear favorably. Then it's for them to do it and figure out that there is at least one product out there that is a better deal for them or has some feature they like better. This is particularly important if your product has no brand name. Maybe you're selling your own line of products and competing against much better known brands. If you cannot prove your product's true worth in a relatively short amount of time, there's no reason for a sales prospect to even consider buying your product. The fear of being taken will override the possibility of getting a good deal. So again, you have to make sure they know they're getting just as good a value as the name brands you're competing against, or maybe even a better value than the other guy. So what's the strategic plan here? When you're targeting value on your main selling point, you want to be able to educate your potential buyer not just about your products, but about the overall market offering too. So that means you have to do a little more research than just being aware of your own value as compared to other products in your own inventory. Instead, you want to be aware of the product's value when compared to the rest of the market that the sales prospect will eventually want to view. There are two factors involved here: quality versus price. Price is often not the determining factor for buying a product, unless that product is being compared to the same product somewhere else for a lower price. So, if you have a top selling product available in your inventory, price will determine how good a value someone perceives it to be. Now, however, if you're working with a range of products and not a specific brand, then you want to concentrate on quality more than price. The more features, the higher the quality, then the competition, and the product becomes a better value, regardless of the price. This may seem odd, but that's because the actual intrinsic value of the product is more when compared to the rest of the other products on the market. So what's the psychology here? What's the trigger? When people see you comparing your own products and are educated about the product's intrinsic value, they equate a better value with a lower price, even if your price is actually much higher than your competition. In other words, it's like a unit price at the grocery store. When people go to compare two different cans of peaches at the store, they look at all the canned peaches and decided which they wanted to buy. If they're focused solely on price, they will look for the generic brands and not even bother looking at the different types of peach syrups or even the weight by can. Instead, they will gravitate to cheaper brands because that's what they're looking for to start with: a deal on the price. Value is not a consideration until they've looked at all the unit prices for that brand to determine which can actually be a better deal by weight. That's when price is a consideration for value only. However, most people just don't buy items this way. They want to go and shop and come home with something they're proud of and feel they got a great deal on it too. For that, they would be the buyer that goes to the grocery store and looks at all the canned peaches. They look at the labels and they admire the different ways the peaches are sliced or diced. They look at the types of syrups, light or heavy. They look to see if any are specialty peaches for some reason. Maybe they're organic or something. So what they're comparing is the value based on the characteristics and features of each brand. Then, when they find a couple of brands they like, they start to look at unit prices. In their mind, The fact that the value is so much higher in one brand than another automatically reduces the expense of them, and that's the first priority. After that, price may be a consideration. But let's face it, they will be, higher than the generic prices anyway. It's just that the cheaper peaches are simply not worth their money, in their perception, right? Because perception is what reality is. So when you're going to show your product's intrinsic value, it's important to highlight the features that make it special. If you're comparing it to name brands, you have to show why your product is a better value, not based solely on price, but the features that it offers or the quality of the product. Otherwise, very few people are willing to spend their money on cheap products just to save a few bucks. They know that after a bit of time, the cheap products break and they'll just have to go out and get a new one anyway. So, how to implement this effectively? This is probably the most complicated strategy to implement. It requires you to take the time to educate your sales prospect in a way that they find informative and enlightening instead of boring. You can do this quickly with a table of comparison with check marks for features. That tool works really well here. However, what happens when you have features that your customer won't even understand? That's truly the case when you're dealing with technical equipment and people really don't know whether one processor or another is really better than another. That's when you also have to educate them on why they want that feature too. That's why you will want to be a little more descriptive here than you would normally be. It can be a bit of a drain for people coming to your site to find a long list of features, but it will be necessary to educate the buyer. You can have the short summary in a table or a bulleted list underneath to indicate what each feature is all about. That way, when someone comes to your website who is knowledgeable on your products, they won't bother to read the bulleted list. The table of comparison is sufficient. Those that don't have the same background will read the list, be impressed that you took the time to educate them on the features and why they are important to them. It shows that you care enough to make them an informed consumer. Another way you can implement this strategy is to have a short story that talks about why the features on your product are a great value. Maybe you're selling purses and your purses are leather and not synthetic. Maybe they have features like a cell phone compartment, in accompanying a wallet that matches. The potential to add your personalized monograph, maybe. When you compare your purse to other purses, you will want to show, that the reason these things are important is because they serve a function. They help you express your identity, and they are durable, valuable, and aesthetically pleasing, even more so than your competitors' purses. You can even bring up the product's price and compare that to show, that even though your product costs more, they're a better value. Or you can show that your product costs less and delivers the same or better value. People still want to know that they are saving money, whether it's through quality or price value. One way to help you get higher sales is to offer the cheaper product first. The way this works is that people will be so excited by the low price on the cheaper products that when you bring out the higher price version of the product, they will transfer their excitement to the new product and equate it as a better value. Most of the time, when they hear about all the additional features they get just for X amount of dollars more, they will jump at the chance to get an even bigger value than they thought they were getting in the first place, or with that cheaper version. This strategy of offering several versions works well when you are comparing items too. You don't want to compare apples to oranges, so several different versions of the same product in your inventory greatly increase your potential for making a sale. After all, you're giving the customer a choice. It just so happens the choice is still going to mean a sale for you. So it doesn't matter how you compare them or what features they have. The fact that they are able to figure out for themselves whether it really is price or intrinsic value that will motivate them to buy helps you make a sale. This strategy can be turned on its head to still offer a sales opportunity, particularly if you are selling memberships or fundraising for a charity. In that case, you would not offer the cheapest alternative first. You would show them the most expensive option first. When people balk at that, you would then offer the cheaper alternative. The reason for that is, they're not really comparison products, but services or donations. When they buy, they're not going to get anything placed in their hands, unless, of course, you make that an option for a higher price point membership. If you're selling packages like trips to other countries that include hotel, airfare, sightseeing, you should start with the highest price package first. Packages include many different benefits and will automatically be perceived to have a higher value than a single item. So you don't want to start with the cheapest package in this instance. Then you can offer the cheapest product as an alternative if the higher price package is rejected. So when you are considering implementing this strategy, think about the order you want to present or show your product. Do you want to highlight the higher priced item first and then offer the lower one, or vice versa? You could try it both ways and see which brings you more sales. But be aware that the order of the product presentation will influence people on a subconscious level in the area of proving your product's value. Okay, so let's talk about timing this strategy. This strategy can be done when people are browsing your product inventory. When they search your site for a particular product, make sure the other products in the inventory show up too. Depending on what they are looking for, you can manipulate the order of display to influence them to perceive a higher value. If you're competing against brand names and using your own generic products, be sure to include that information on your sales page so people know your products are worth it. If you are writing copy ads that are going to, in printed material, you can compare your products quickly and then put a link to the site where you sell the product. You can also educate your customer on getting a better value just before they check it out. It's like when you go to a fast food place and you order a single item. That's the time when you're told that if you buy a combo package, you get a better value. And most people then buy the combo package whether they actually were that hungry or not. The same can be done anywhere on any business by saying that at checkout. Did you know that for X amount more, you could get such and such? It's called a bump or an upsell. If you have that placed as standard programming on your website, then it will come up and alert the customer that there is potential for a better value deal and usually bigger bucks for you too. So use this strategy and really provide that true worth to what your client is looking for. Okay, this will allow you to really show the colors of your product and even maybe crush some of your competition with more value, less price, or maybe it's more value and more price. That is going to really be determined by the market itself. All right, that concludes this video. We'll see you in the next video.